Hi guys, Valdrin here again. Today we're getting into the final cut here of the Copenhagen Regional. So this is one of the top 8 games. And since these are taken from the stream and these were commentated on live, I will be using that for this battle report here. So it's not going to be me commentating on the game. It's going to be Paul Erik Holmlund, who did the live streaming. Well, I did the live streaming from my setup, but it was his... he provided the commentary, is what I'm trying to say here. So this will be full games, which means there will be no cut during the dial sets, because there is commentary all the way through. So I really hope you enjoy this, and see you soon for the semi-final and final as well.
Okay. Casper Julgaard's list is consisting of 4 identical syndicate thugs. They have the iron cannon turret, they have the R4 acromac, and when he is attacking after he spent the focus, he may acquire a target on the defender. And then he has the title for the Y-Wing, the BTL A4, which means that he cannot fire outside of his firing arc, but he's allowed to double tap, so to speak. So he can perform a primary weapon attack and then immediately perform an attack with his secondary weapon, which in this case is the iron cannon turret. So he has to aim at keeping everybody in firing arcs of those 4 Y-Wings. And opposing him we have Thomas. Let's see if I can find his list as well. Here we go. Thomas is flying Omega Leader with Duke and Com Relay, very standard setup for that one. Colonel Veserin, the TIE Defender with Duke, Stealth Device and the TIE X7's title. And Countess Riot, also in the TIE Defender with Push the Limit, Twin Iron Engine Mark II and TIE X7. And it looks like we have a slow beginning here in the start of the match. Countess on the far left here will probably try to run away as fast as possible for those 4 iron cannons, and it looks like he'll bring in the flankers on the right. Let's see what happens. And as far as the opening goes, this looks like it could turn into a really nasty fight in the middle of the board. There's a wide open area, not too much of debris and obstacles in the way right there around the center, so that could really turn into a nasty area if those 4 Y-Wings gets to them up there. Let's see if Thomas falls into the trap. And because of the scope of the camera, you can't really see this, but not only are Casper and Thomas really great X-Wing players, they're also very handsome looking guys. You can see part of Thomas's face here. And yes, they asked me to say that. And Thomas on the left is doing everything he can to avoid being caught in that trap. He really wants the Y-Wings to open up, because getting in the sides of those 4 as a concentrated block is going to hurt very badly. not only with the damage that they can output, but especially also with the iron tokens. You do not want to point toward a board edge when you have potentially 4 iron cannons shooting at you. Before the match, I asked the guys if they could be kind enough to try and line up their dice and shield taking damage on the board. I'm not sure if it's possible for them to remember during the entire game, but we will see if they remember. The camera is not the best setup for viewing the dice, and we unfortunately do not have a secondary camera for dice. But let's see when the first exchange happens. And the way things are going right now, looks like it will be possible to swing Riot behind those Y-Wings. And if she can stay there and maintain pot shots at them, she can really do some damage with her push the limit. She will be able to do 2 actions a turn, and getting focus fire with both target locks and a focus can really tear those Y-Wings up with their agility of 1. We saw Thomas here trying to take a target lock, but he's still outside of range with the Omega leader, and he chooses to barrel roll away. And he should probably try to split his forces a little bit, see if he can present 3 targets, so Casper has to decide which ones to go after, and then see if he can punch the Y-Wings with the 2 others. And Casper, of course, wants to take it slow and try to make sure that he can engage a target and destroy it absolutely in 1 turn of shooting, so he doesn't have to have people on his tail the entire match. I talked to both of the players just before the match, and they said, okay, now we have the jitters. Not only are we in the top 8, this is the first top 8 spots for both of them in regional, but they also went on the stream, so if there is shaky fingers, it's, just the stress of being telecommuted out to 1 million viewers. Looks like we have a casualty there, a Y-wing falling off. And Casper is really flying them nicely, keeping them in one solid block, avoiding obstacles so far, and he's really built a nice freeway for them to march into here. And at the moment they have all their options open really. They can continue straight, they can go right, they can go left. So they're not in too bad a spot at the moment. And here Riot flies directly into the path of them really. At least two of them looks like they have a firing solution on her. Unless she barrels ours. A barrel roll here might actually be a good solution, because it would set her up for an okay round of shooting, and one of her signature moves, the K-turn. But she chooses the target lock instead, and then barrel rolls. Looks like a good solution here for Riot. Takes her out of the firing arcs, it looks like. And what would the other ships do? Colonel Vessery. And now he is caught in the crosshairs of 4 Y-wings. And of course he gets a complimentary evade token. Both of the fenders is equipped with the X7 title, which means that whenever they execute a maneuver of a speed with 3, 4, 5, they will get a free evade token. And they do not have to complete the maneuver, they just have to dial it in, so even if they bump, they will still get it. And here we see Omega Leader slow playing it. He doesn't want to get too close to those. And of course not. The Omega Leader is one of those really great ships to have in the end game. One-on-one, he is virtually a nightmare to kill and also to defend against, because with the target lock he has to face people who cannot modify dice against him, and he can push them through. It's, you know, small, dancing and stinging like a bumblebee, but it gets the work done if you have the time to do it. It looks like he's attacking now here with a hit and a focus, and I think he evaded it. The dice unfortunately are a little hard to see. Now we see an attack with Colonel Vessery. He has range 1 shot, and he spends a focus, and looks like he has 3 hits and a crit. Maybe it's just 4 hits, it's hard to see. Looks like a focus here. And Thomas of course removes his focus token. And Casper decides to spend his focus to save one of those. But it looks like he's out of shields now on that ship. So 3 shields off that one Y-wing. And 1 damage, and it's critical hit looks like. I'm not sure what the critical hit is. Minor hull breach, thank you. And the critical hit was a minor hull breach. firing from right. Right, looks like she's... No, sorry, I missed that. I was away from the stream for a second. I'm not sure what damage Riot was able to pile on, but somebody just lost a stealth device and received an iron token from those ships. And we have 2 hits here against Vessery. And Vessery seems to receive a little bit of damage, losing another shield here. And this round of shooting can be really critical if you manage to lose an entire ship in the first engagement. Losing an entire defender is never nice. And those iron tokens are now being piled on, so Casper will absolutely know where that defender is going the next turn. There will be no K-turn, there will be no shenanigans moving around, it will just be one straight forward. And we are back to dials. Now the question will be what will happen here. The iron ship, Colonel Vessery, who has lost his stealth device, will move only 1 forward. He will still be able to take an action, of course, and then he will remove the iron tokens. But what will happen? Will Casper be able to align shots up on him? Or will he have to align his ships towards another target this round? This is actually a quite interesting matchup. Normally the X7 defenders are very good at adjusting the engagement, but a straight up joust against 4 Y-wings with a secondary weapon and the title is a little bit of a suicide pact to enter into, especially when they're equipped with the iron cannons. So he has to either keep his engagement at range 3, or he will have to get behind them, because the Y-wings are not very maneuverable. They have a lot of red on the dials, so it's not the easiest ship to maneuver. But so far Casper has been doing a great job of aligning them up and keeping all 4 scopes on 1 defender. And I do not know whether or not we have viewers with us at the moment, or how many we have. But if you have questions, you can type them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. And if there's something wrong with your audio, please advise me as well. If I'm mumbling too much or if the sound is too loud, I'm happy to try to correct it from this end. I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to commenting matches, and I'll try to just, comment on the obvious things. I won't try to go into any elaborate details. And that Y-wing just doesn't want to stay on its peg. It looks like the entire Y-wing swarm may try to do some K-turns here. And here we and I think they're agreeing here just to move the defender out of the way in order to be able to execute the next K-turn, which of course makes sense. And this could turn out to be a very, very nasty turn for Vessery, who will move one forward and then again be in the scope of, if not all of the Y-wings, then at least 2, maybe even 3 of them. We'll see. I'm not sure what they rolled for there. Could be the fact that, oh, he performed the red maneuver, so he received the stress and took 1 damage from the minor hull breach. And then Casper is using one of his Y-wings to block off the defender. And if it doesn't block, then it gets a shot, and the next one will definitely get a shot. So he has set up a kill box to finish off that defender. This will be a very short game for Colonel Vessery. Now the question is what Thomas has planned to do with the rest of his defenders, and if he can shoot down 1 or more of them. And he tried to do 5 forward, either as a normal or turn, but it's of course blocked by this kill box. So there will be no actions for Riot this turn. And Vessery will just move 1 forward, and then he will remove all of his iron tokens, and then he'll be able to perform 1 action. And at the moment he's caught in the scopes of all 4 ships. So he will be in a bit of a trouble here. 2 of them will have range 1 shots at him, in addition to the iron cannons. And of course, since he didn't dial in a 3, 4, 5 move, he won't get the free evade from his title. And what he might try to do here is, no, he gave up, and then there was no room for the barrel roll, and so instead he decided to take a focus. And now we see the American League bombing into another one of the ships. And what Casper has managed to do here is that he's keeping his wounded ship out of firing arcs. So there will be no possibility to actually finishing off one of the ships and one of the Y-wings. So going into the next round, Casper will still most likely have a full complementation of his list. Well, let's see what happens now. And we have Omega Leader firing, only scoring 1 hit. And looks like it was not evaded, so the Y-wing is losing a shield. And then we see Countess Riot taking a range 1 shot, and another Y-wing getting 2 hits, and she can modify. And we see it looks like an evade. So he loses 1 shield. So at the moment we have 2 Y-wings, both have lost 1 shield, and we have a moderately damaged Y-wing with all of its shields off and a minor hull breach. And now the killing of Vessery will commence. So he spent a focus token, then he gets a target lock. He has 2 hits on that. This is his primary weapon attack, and then he will commence with the iron cannon afterwards. The iron cannon gets 2 hits. Took the damage, got the iron token, so he didn't roll enough evades. We'll have another shot here. Primary attack at range 1, 3 dice, and he spends his focus, gets a target lock, and Thomas managed to focus his way into avoiding the primary attack, but only one hit here on the iron cannon, so he actually avoids the second iron. Not that it matters, because one iron is enough for the small ships. So he's still ionized, but he's still alive and in the game. Now we have to range 2 shots. One hit, which is not evaded, and we now have the first defender off the table, and the last defender will now take a shot with his primary cannon range. That's one. There's one shield off Riot, and now the iron cannon with what looks like 2 hit, and 2 evades, so she will not be ionized next turn. And this is crucial for Thomas as the Imperial player, because once those defenders are ionized, they are virtually defenseless. Absolutely no defense built into them when they are not able to use their X7 title, and they are relying entirely on 3 green defense dice, which inevitably will fail them. So what we will see now is 4 Y-Wings trying to kill off the last 2 Imperial ships. And we are about 39 minutes into the match now, which of course is a time match, as the top 8 match. And of course, as I've said before, if there's any questions in the stream, or to the stream, or to me, just type it in the chat and I'll do my best to answer it. And of course, if there's problem with the audio, please let me know as well. I'll try to see if I can adjust. And Casper is trying to set up a new kill box, doing the K turns with 2 Y-Wings. And one must admit the fact that he has really been able to build in a very, very good space for himself with the asteroid placement. He has, combined with his bonus, of course, managed to really make a very, very large area of the map where he doesn't really have to be concerned about the asteroids or flying into them. And that's, one of the important steps, the turn 0, making sure that the environment is to your liking. And he's been able to do that very, very well here. And I'll have to talk with him afterwards to see if he really planned it, because this is masterful deployment of the area. And here we see Count is right, being able to actually land right there, right in the arc of 2 Y-wings. And she made the K-turn because she didn't bump, it's very close. So now Thomas will have to decide whether or not to barrel roll out in the hope of avoiding one of the arcs, but then he might very well roll into another arc instead. So this matchup is really, really hurting right now for Thomas. Looks like she's taking the focus here. Stress would push the limit, which then allow. Okay, I'll try to adjust the sound here just a minute. I tried moving the mic now. Is this better? Let's see if people can hear me better now. I can't really adjust it more than this. I just tried moving it a little bit closer to my mouth, so you will hear more of my voice, but also more of my breathing. And now we see the attack here. Omega leading, try to put on the hurt on the damage. Pushing through 2 normal damage through, so we now have 3 damage total on the damaged Y-wing. And this game for the Imperial player is really a game of whack-a-mole. There's a Y-wing, you have to beat it down. There's a new Y-wing, you have to beat it down. And then there's a third and a fourth Y-wing which you have to beat down. And it's just a nightmare. Especially when you have a kill box set up like you did in the first couple of engagements. A damage and a critical, you can't really see the critical because of the gloss, but it was not really a consequence because the damage in by itself was enough to take the ship off the board. So now we have a Defender and Omega Leader against 3 virtually undamaged ships. One of them does not have a firing arc, the second one doesn't have, and then there's the third one which might have. We're checking now to see if the last ship has a firing arc. And it's hard to see here on this camera angle, but we will see. I think we'll measure up in a minute. Now they are measuring range towards the Omega Leader. And I think they're trying to decide whether or not a shot will move through that debris field, giving extra defense. Let's see what they agreed upon. Primary attack doesn't hit. And then there's of course the dreaded iron cannon. And it's evaded. And with that round of shooting, we are moving back to dials. And there's no iron tokens on the ships now for the Imperial player, so he has more or less free reign of what he wants to do. And he will of course have to try to see if he can dial in something that does not leave him in the arc of 3 Y-wings. And as mentioned earlier, Thomas and Casper are great X-Wing players, really nice guys, and also very handsome, but we can't see that here on the stream. And yes, they asked to be spoken about in such a fashion. And I'll have to point out once again that this is not Christopher commentating, although I'm using his account, and he asked me to be polite. He must know me. I'm usually an extremely rude fella. And I'm doing my best. I'll try to be nice. I'll probably fail as well. And Thomas doesn't really have any really good options here. Both of his ships are stressed, and in order to clear that stress with the Omega Leader, he has to turn one way or the other, or flying straight. And flying straight will leave him, in the debris field, more or less, or right in front of it. And if Casper, outthinks him and guesses right, he will be able to put 3 arcs on the Omega Leader. So there's no really clear-cut choice here. And the same, of course, goes for the counters. And the Defender is a lovely ship, but it's, especially with the counters, it's very predictable in what manners it tries to shed stress usually. The counters has tried to countermeasure it, of course, with the twin-ion engine Mark II. So the banks will be green maneuvers as well. But it's still a ship that's basically flying straight forward and back, trying to get firing arcs. And that Y-wing simply doesn't want to stay in its peg. I think it's been off the peg in virtually every turn now. And after this game we will of course have a short break, and then we will be back with the next of the matches. This is the first of the knockout round of the top 8. So we will be streaming one of the semi-finals after this one, and it will probably, once the round and time is called, we will probably have a 15, maybe 20 minutes break before the next round starts. But I'll be back to commentate on that as well, of course. And we will naturally also be here for the final. But so far things are really looking great for Casper and his scummy fleet. And it looks like, I'm not sure whether or not that's a bomb really. The stress is cleared, so let's see what happens once, whether he will perform an action or not. If it's taking a focus evade here. I would have thought that no focus evade, and then of course he stress, and then he takes a target lock instead of. I would have thought there was room for a barrel roll so he could, avoid any potential return fire. But he's really trying to set up a kill in that Y-wing. Who dares wins, as they say, so this may pay off. But he's going to try to attack a tokenless Y-wing with first the Omega Leader, scoring lucky 2 hits, that's nice. And he will of course duke that, and because the Y-wing is stressed, he can't do anything about it, so that's the first. 2 shields off, which leaves us with 5 hull and 1. And now Riot will try to hammer through on it. That's 2 hits, spends its target lock. And that rolls into 2 focus, and I think he will spend. He's contemplating whether or not he should. No, he spends the focus, but of course the idea was perhaps to save it in order to avoid being shot back. But she pushes through, and this means that the last shield and 3 damage will go through. No, 4 damage, because that one already had lost 1. But the Y-Wing survives with 1 hull, and this now leaves Riot in the arc of 3 Y-Wings. So perhaps the barrel roll would have been a better option. Let's see what happens here. This can be a crucial turn for Casper, really, because if he managed to burn down the countess or ionize her, he has every option of killing her the next turn. And especially considering that at the moment she's right on the path toward the rock, so ionizing her now will force Thomas into spending his actions on barrel rolling out of the way, which means he's less survivable because he won't be able to take the focus unless he keeps stressing himself. Which of course he can't. He's stressed at the moment, but he doesn't dial in a maneuver. And 1 forward is not a green maneuver, it's just an iron effect, so he doesn't get to clear stress either. So the option will be whether or not to be on a track towards the rock or barrel out of the way. I think Casper and Thomas now is debating which target he should fire at. He has a firing arm from that Y-Wing, and it's in range 2. So a primary weapon attack first? No, but maybe it's range 1 then. And he spends his focus, gets the target lock from his spot, and Riot rerolls that one because it was crooked, and avoided the damage, it seems. Iron Cannon spends the target on Y-Wing, 1 hit only, and Thomas managed to evade that one with a roll. So, escaped the first round of shooting. Second one. Casper's not lucky here. Range 1 shot misses, and the Iron Cannon misses. So this is a really fortuitous round for Thomas. Getting one of the Y-Wings out, and almost out. And so far managed to avoid all attacks being thrown at him. And this is the final Iron Cannon attack. 3 hits, and Thomas is actually, I think it sticks. Yes, the Iron Cannon went through. So Riot loses her shield, but more importantly she is now ionized. And the next turn she will be just 1 base length ahead of where she is now, and will be open to even more attacks from the Iron Cannons. So let's see what Casper dials in to do about this. And here we have a really nice view of Casper's left ear. It looks like he washed it today, which is nice. And what we can see on the table here is of course the dice, the beautiful new regional dice, the sparkly ones. They've basically taken the dice that were given out as prizes in the first year, the see-through ones, and then they added sparkle to them. I don't know if they dipped them in some some of the vampire blood or something to make them sparkly. But they're actually quite nice looking. And much easier to read and see than last year's regional, the white one. Thank you very much, Martin. It's nice to see you with us here. Why don't you come out and see it live? But no, as I was talking about the dice, the white Jizz dice, as we've nicknamed them, are very hard to see in the wrong lighting. But those new dice here are actually quite easy to see and beautiful to behold. Now we just have to get FFG to realize that a set of dice has to be 6 of each instead of 3 or 4. But it's a step up, so we're getting there. In 4 or 5 years' time, we might be to a full set. And I'm getting a comment here on some of the guys who might have been here for the Escalation side tournament, but he woke up too late and was just out of sorts, which is understandable. It was a long day yesterday, a fun day, but a long day. And now here in the game we see that, of course, because of the iron tokens, the poor countess only has to move 1 forward, can't remove the stress, won't get her complementary evade token, won't be able to take a focus or barrel roll out of the way, and she is not in a nice spot. 3 Y-wings once again have her in their sights, and Omega Leader is trying, of course, moving in and see if he can help out here with the signals loop, and is trying to kill one of the Y-wings off before they shoot back and right. He gets 2 hits, or maybe a hit and a crit. It's a little hard to see here for me. Doesn't avoid it. But it's 2 shields off, and it's not on the damaged one. And this means that there will still be 3 Y-wings throwing attacks towards the countess. Yes, and now the punishment of Riot will commence. Range 2 shot first from the rear one. Rolls 2 natural hits. And now it looks like the green dice decides to leave the game. 1 damage, 1 shield off. Now there's 2 hull left. And here comes the first iron cannon shot. With 1, 2 hits. And only 1 evade, so a new iron token and a new damage. And I do believe that the game's more or less decided here now. Well, now we have Omega Leader as the last Imperial ship. And while Omega Leader likes to be the last ship on the table on the Imperial side because he's very good in one-on-one dogfights, he does not like to be up against 3 Y-wings. And it looks like Looks like he has to sacrifice his evade here and loses his shield and is ionized. And I do believe that Casper has this one in the bag now. I think he has to really mess up badly to throw this game at this point. The game has been going on for a little more than an hour, so about 14 minutes left, if I've timed it right. And I don't see him turning this one around. So, but this was really a masterful setup of Casper, both in the initial deployment of the obstacles and in making that engagement. He really managed to get Thomas to fly into a kill box and keep him in that kill box. First with one, then with the second, and now probably with a third ship. So a masterful performance of Casper here. Yes, and we are back to dials here again, and there'll be no dial setting from Thomas. Being ionized, it would be one move forward. So the decision making is all on Casper now, and trying to see how many of his Y-wings he can manage to get in the arc of the poor Thai FO. I'm imagining Omega Leader just clinging to his controls right now, screaming and hammering the keyboard in front of him, saying, "Make me move!" But that won't happen now. And it looks like the Emperor will not be proud of his forces today. Slight forward bump here from the first Y-wing, and a bump with the second Y-wing, I think. He's dialed in a one forward, and I think Thomas was in doubt whether or not it could clear, but it doesn't look like it at all. So a little bit of bumping back and forth here. Two Y-wings bumped, and the last one performs. Two turn, it looks like. Straight away from the action. And what we see here is that actually gives Thomas a bit of a breathing room. Because now he will be shot at by only two Y-wings. But because of that second loop now turn, he is of course still stressed. He had to spend his evade token, I think. Or is it still there? It looks like he still has the evade token. And he still has his target lock. But, oops, blanking out from Casper in the attack. And now the nasty one. And that was an iron cannon. Looks like it went through again. So, yes, iron token returned to the Omega Leader. And now the last Y-wing with a firing solution will fire. And it hits, doing normal damage. No, Thomas sacrifices his evade token. And then Casper actually blanks out on the iron. But it doesn't matter because the first iron cannon hit. So Omega Leader won't be able to clear stress again and will just move on forward. And this is really a matter of time now. All that's really left to see is whether or not Casper will be able to finish off in the last 10 minutes, or if Thomas can escape with a mega leader to fight another day. But at the moment it doesn't really look like it. I've tried adjusting the mic a little bit more, and I hope the voice still carries through. And here in the break I'll just have to go and get something to drink, so I won't be too throat dry to commentate on the last couple of matches. But this has been a really nice game of X-Rank, because it's shown some of the basics. It's shown that it's really important to control the board in round 0, setting it up, making sure that the fighting environment is to your liking. And then it looks like Casper had a plan and he stuck to it, and Thomas came right into it, and then Casper executed it to perfection. So this has been one of those really good matches where you actually saw somebody performing a plan to perfection. And seeing a ship like the Y-Wing, that normally when you see a quadruple Y-Wing list, you see it with TLT, and of course the outrage and outroar is that it doesn't take skill, and all the droid makes all their moves green, and then you have a 306 fire solution. But here you see somebody with iron cannons and the title, and he just has to be able to keep arc again and again on ships. And he's doing it in a Y-Wing which is very not maneuverable. But he's managing it, he's setting up the kill boxes, he's setting up the blocks. So he's really flying this list great. It looks nice. It's interesting to watch. And of course now one of our spectators is commentating that he's needs to be DQ'd because he's flying with the ship off the base. And since he's not an Imperial player, I will have to agree. So I'll get the TO over and make sure that Tonna is awarded the victory. Of course not. And here they shakes hand on it. Thomas has lost the match, and a huge congratulations to Casper for going on to the second round of the elimination. It was a great match, very fun to watch, and I'll be back with more commentating once the next match goes live. If I'm not much mistaken, it will be in between 20 to 30 minutes, but I will update in the chat as soon as I know, and then I'll be back. Take care for now. I've been lucky enough to get Casper in here, and first let me say congratulations, Casper. That was a really great game.
Thank you, Paul.
And I have to ask you, it looked like you managed to make the setup just like you wanted it. You had a huge open space where you could take the fight, and the Y-Wing is not very maneuverable, but you had the opening. Did you plan it?
Yes, I did. I always try to arrange the obstacles so that I have some space to maneuver. The Y-Wings are a bit on the slow side and don't have the best dial, so I need some space. I also decided from the start that I wanted to target Vessery, and he set up away from me, and I think he might have been a bit surprised that after initially moving a bit forward, I decided to turn.
Yeah, you did that great, and it was very visible, at least here on the screen. When you removed from it, you can really see that, oh, this can fall out in that manner, and it did. And you managed to set up the kill book beautifully, and was able to keep the ship one ship at a time in arc all the time. So that was masterfully flown. But just wanted to hear if that was really as planned as it looked, and of course it was, because otherwise you don't manage 6 games yesterday and go into to the top 8 today. So once again, congratulations and good luck in the next match.
Thank you, Paul.